Hey everyone and welcome back to a new video here on the new Byte. My name is House and I want to talk about Pokemon Quest again because this is part 2 about what is Pokemon Quest. Part 1, if you haven't seen it yet, is linked here, and that is all about the basics of the game, how you get to the island that you play as, what's the end goal, how do Pokemon feel like, and of course how do you play Pokemon Quest. Now, part 2 is more like a specific video. I want to focus on the explicit transition from the RPG title into a strategy game. So this is more like a gameplay explanation and also focus video. If you don't like that, I hope we will see you back soon again for another video, maybe even in part 3 when we talk about the microtransactions and if it's worth paying for Pokemon Quest. So let's get right into it and see you in a second. Alright, so in this video, I want to focus on 3 main points. I want to break down the team dynamic that is in Pokemon Quest. I want to talk about the importance of support stones, and of course about elemental advantages, which we've seen already of course in the RPG game, but here they play a really different role. In case you missed it, the main game loop of Pokemon Quest is just very simple to explain. You have lots of zones that you want to explore on an island. Each zone is separated into different levels, and the levels are basically just planes with some obstacles on your way, where your team members, up to 3 Pokemon, are there to just walk around and find their way to meet other Pokemon to fight against. Fighting happens automatically, and you as the trainer, and in that sense more like a commander, can actually activate abilities in order to strengthen or of course to deal more damage at once through having heavier attacks or giving yourself a boost, for example, that makes you more strong and deals more damage that way. And the way you put your team together already does a lot of difference. So in the Pokemon Quest game, each Pokemon has 1 or 2 attacks, depending on how they're rolling. There's lots of luck involved with it, and of course that luck also can sometimes turn out into a shiny Pokemon, which is very exciting. But beside of that, shiny Pokemon are not the main focus of this video. Here's the thing. Pokemon can learn always just a small set of attacks and abilities that they have under their belt, under the sort of lore, depending on what Pokemon it is. For example, they can only have more offensive attacks and just very little of helpful buffs. And usually with Pokemon in the classic sense, you have a team of up to 6 Pokemon where one after one fights against another single Pokemon. Here in Pokemon Quest, this is just not possible because you have an open plane and not just a round-based system. And that is essentially why I really like Pokemon Quest, because it's different. It's in an open field, it's real time, and of course it brings together 3 Pokemon at once that you can control and command a little bit at least. The very first and most important thing that you can do besides, of course, activating abilities is the command to just scatter around, because that is the main mechanic how you can avoid strong attacks by other Pokemon. You see this very often with boss fights, for example, where they have just either a pointer on you or around themselves, where they're just gonna deal a lot of damage in that area. And your Pokemon are not that smart, but you are smart. So you of course tell your Pokemon to scatter around, just fall back a little bit, and then of course to attack again. This is the very first part. You can control when a Pokemon should retract from a fight, and you can tell it of course when to go back in again. But of course, the power that each Pokemon has also has a very important role in how fights play out. Sometimes attacks of a Pokemon have a knockback, which gives you a little distance between you and the opponent, and helps of course a lot again to get yourself a little rest of course. Some Pokemon just don't have that many health, and sometimes you're really unlucky if they don't have that, because here's the second thing how fights can be played way more differently. Besides of course abilities that already change up either how far you're standing to someone, how they deal damage, or the way they are able to attack, like are they attacking from a distance, like Porygon does here, or are they really up close, like Charizard does here. Now here's the other thing that's actually kind of not in the Pokemon RPG, but that is actually essentially new to Pokemon Quest. Pokemon have actually a loot drop in a sense, like in Destiny, for example, there were weapons which had a chance of having special abilities, like if you shoot someone 3 times on the head, 1 bullet returns to your magazine, essentially giving you more time to shoot an enemy without reloading. That was one example, and you didn't get that on every weapon and not every time. Unlike Destiny 2, where everything is the same weapon, and if you get 1 weapon, you already have that weapon forever, basically, if you're not throwing it away, because, goddammit, weapons are not worth it anymore. But that's enough of Destiny 2. Let's continue on with Pokemon Quest. Yes, in Pokemon Quest, there are actually Pokemon who differ from another Pokemon completely, just based on luck. Each Pokemon can have up to 9 slots for Power Stones, and these, of course, can either improve your health or your attack value. And if you have a Pokemon that has just attack, but barely any health, you basically throw it away. The game even tells you in a loading screen that it's actually better and you have a higher advantage if your Pokemon have twice the amount of health as they have attack strength, because then they can hold on way longer, and of course they deal more damage because they also stay alive for longer. That seems reasonable. But I noticed, since I wasn't depending on one single Pokemon alone, with a team of 3, you could always have different roles. And I already said this in the first video. There are different types of Pokemon based on their loot drops. I had an Onix that had only health stones, and he had only one ability, to harden. Harden is an ability where you just basically get more defense value and of course take less damage. With another support stone, which shares these effects now with the other 2 teammates, you basically not only had a mage that gave each other more defense, you had a tank that could just keep on pushing through a fight no matter how long it takes. And that was a key value for some boss encounters. The other 2 Pokemon that I mostly have chosen are 1, a long distance Pokemon, which, yes, they are also basically snipers, Pokemon that can attack from far away, but can still deal a lot of damage, like for example Porygon does here again. And the third Pokemon that I always used was the DPS. Basically no health, but when it hit, it absolutely wrecked everyone on its way. It could attack lots of times, and with the ability that, and here's another thing again that's actually not in the Pokemon RPG game, the Pokemon faints, they always faint, they don't die, don't worry, it's actually coming back after a short wait time. You could even have support stones which have special abilities on top of their values, which for example give a little percentage advantage when Pokemon come back from being faint. So they're not just 26-second average from a match, actually coming back way quicker. And that keeping on holding on with one tank and having lots of other support Pokemon around them that can fight on from a distance and can deal lots of damage, even though they don't survive the complete round. Just a very fascinating aspect that I saw in Pokemon Quest. And again, which is just fascinating how it differs from the RPG game into the strategy game that is Pokemon Quest. Now, there are only 2 more things that I want to talk about. There's the one thing, actually, this is not a round-based game, but you still have lots of things from the main Pokemon games, and that is of course elemental advantage. Here it plays out more inside of the zones. The Tombow Cube Island is separated in 10 zones, and each of these 10 zones inhabit a certain amount of Pokemon and certain types of them as well. And only one elemental type of Pokemon has an advantage here. Seeing as it is, the cumulative value of your team is based on the amount of health and attack points that they have, summed up by all 3 Pokemon that make up your team. And with an elemental advantage, you can even expand that value even further. So it's really important to not just diversify your team. Actually, how it is here, you should actually have sometimes the same Pokemon on your team. In my example, it turned out that it was absolutely perfect to have 3 Onix on one team. And since each of these Onix was always a different one being the tank with just having the harden ability, another one having the ability to attack a lot and having more strength points, and the third one basically being in the middle, being able to shoot someone from further away. That setup was already amazing and turned out to be a very lengthy fight. And here's the good thing. Not only does this game feature real-time strategy aspects away from the round-based game, actually it's also less annoying in its grind. Every time I had to grind in the Pokemon Classic RPGs, it was really just a chore. I had to walk around, find a lot of Pokemon, fight them, and drown them, get myself healed up, walk it back and forth again, and oh my god, so much work. In Pokemon Quest, it's way easier done, because there's an AI that can play for you instead. Now granted, this is not the best AI in the game. It wouldn't necessarily work as a human would, but it does its job well enough, activating buffs for your teammates and attacking with the strongest attacks as often as possible, as much as it can. And I noticed a lot of times when actually I was just looking at the game and thinking, maybe actually I would have attacked right here, right now, so I could have fought against an enemy way faster. But since I also was distracted because I was, for example, working on this video, I just was thinking, okay, this was maybe not perfect, but it still works out at the end, and my Pokemon are still stronger anyway, so it's just a matter of time. And that grinding, of course, helps again to get new Pokemon, more exciting Pokemon, and help you to level up the Pokemon that you already have. So yes, while I think both sides of the coin, having less of the RPG game in Pokemon Quest, and also having the important bits of the RPG game in Pokemon Quest, are putting together an amazing and different game, yet feeling constantly as being part of the main RPG series. Just in a way different gameplay form, I'd say. Yes, you don't catch Pokemon, and yes, you don't have necessarily Pokemon trainer fights, but you fight against a lot of bosses and enemies. You use your Pokemon wisely, and have them attack in different times, and use different aspects of them. You have to really select your Pokemon, and have to decide which one you want to put in a battle, and which one you'd rather keep for another zone. And all these aspects together still make me feel like I'm the trainer in the game. And that is, I think, the main component that puts together the main Pokemon RPG series with the Pokemon strategy game Pokemon Quest. Both do the same thing, just in very different flavor, and in that, since it's also a free-to-start game, the Pokemon Company has achieved to get me back again into playing Pokemon after abandoning the series for a few years by now. And I think a lot of people would actually hope that they see way more of these interesting titles that are way different, but still keep the idea and the important parts of the main RPG series in its core. And I personally like that. My name is Hanses, thank you so much for watching, and of course, hit the bell icon if you liked it and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next part of this video. Have a nice day and see you soon, and I hope you had a good. Please let me know what you think about this video in the comments and talk to you soon.